Coming for you.
What does she mean by that?
Coming for you, steak. That awkward schoolgirl pose where they're like...
Oh, true. You're so cute.
And you're like...
Yeah. Your head looks so much smaller than mine.
That's because it is.
No! Welcome to Our Family Bee. I'm Brandon.
I'm Brigitte.
And today we're going to show you how to make the perfect steak every time at home in just 3 easy steps. Let's go.
We're going to show you how to make the perfect steak in 3 easy steps. But before we do that, if you like what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button down below.
There. Yeah, hit it right there. We'll just wait a second. 1 misses 2. 2 seconds. Click it. Okay? Good. Let's go.
So let me get this straight. You're going to teach us, and me, because I really don't know how to do it. You do it?
Yeah, we're going to show you. We're. So how do they do it, babe?
First you need steak.
It's good. You need a steak. What kind of steak?
Well, we get our steak in bulk from Costco.
Sure.
And so if you get that, then we have a video that shows you how to break it down.
Right up here, we'll link it where it shows you how to cut it up. So we're gonna get a steak, preferably either a New York strip steak or a ribeye. Now the ribeye is usually actually a better cut of steak. It's fattier, more marbling. Fat equals flavor, people. We've got our New York strip here, but it's prime, so it's a really good cut of steak, and it's gonna give us a really just juicy, tender, finished product. But to do this, you're gonna need a steak of some type, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a couple of cutting boards, a cast iron skillet, well seasoned. You can use stainless steel for this as well. Do not use a non-stick pan for this. It will not go well. You will have a bad day. Some type of high heat cooking oil, something like avocado oil is actually perfect. A whole mess of butter. You want to have some good butter for this. Rosemary is optional. We're going to throw it in for this one just because it adds a little bit of a herb flavor to it. We're going to be using a sous vide machine. If you don't have one of those, we'll put a link in the description below where you can get one, but it's the best way to make a consistently excellent steak every time.
I was skeptical at first, but it has proven itself time and time again.
Step 1 for how to make the perfect steak at home every time is to season your steak. And how we're going to do this is with spag. It was her idea. She came up with spag. I give her credit. Good job.
Salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder.
It was like the seasoning that we put on everything all the time. Because how do you want to season this? Well, salt, pepper, maybe onion and garlic. How about this? It was salt, pepper, onion, and garlic. So it just needed an acronym. It needed to be a thing that we use. So salt, pepper, onion, garlic. Now for this steak, you want to heavily salt your steak. In fact, you're going to use spag kind of in that order. Heavily salt your steak all over, just like this. Also, a pretty liberal amount of pepper, and then onion it pretty evenly all over, and sprinkle garlic all over it as well. Now, there are some purists out there that say just use salt and pepper with your steak, or some even just salt. That's fine, you can do that. But I like having a lot of extra flavor to my steak, and it really helps when you're going to sear it this way with the crust. So first step, to season with spag, and make sure you get not only both sides, but then take that steak like we're doing here and roll it on the sides in what's left over on the cutting board. The second step is to sous vide your steak. Now, if you're not familiar with sous vide, what it is, it's a French term that means under vacuum. You're going to vacuum seal this steak, and we have a vacuum sealer that does it for us with these special bags. It'll seal the steak in, takes out all the air for what we're going to do next. If you don't have one, you can cheat this at home. You get a regular Ziploc bag, make sure it's a freezer bag, nice and sealable, and you just squeeze all the air out the best you can with your steak inside it, and then you're going to put it into a pot of water that you're going to constantly watch the temperature of and keep the water stirring, but you got to watch the thing the whole time. This is why I don't do it manually. You're going to have to watch it the whole time to make sure it stays at the right temperature. This is not the best way to go. We have a sous vide machine. Here's what it does. It just circulates the water around the whole time at the same temperature so that it doesn't fluctuate. I'm going to go ahead and set it for 130 because this is going to give us a really nice medium rare steak and still let some of that fat render at the same time. And we're going to set it for 130 for 2 hours. Of course, notice here that I say we, but Brigitte is doing this because she was actually home when we needed to film this. So thanks, honey.
Welcome.
Welks. After the 2 hours have elapsed on your sous vide time, you want to go ahead and take that steak out, unseal it from the bag, and pat it dry with paper towels like we're doing here. Make sure you get it good and dry. And when you're doing this, some of the seasoning is gonna come off. It's just part of the process. This might look kind of gross right now, but I promise you it's gonna be awesome in the end. I'm gonna go ahead and re-salt, not as much as I did the first time, but enough to put some flavor back into it because we're about to sear it to get it nice and salty. And before I go to the pan, I'm gonna get ready for it. I'm gonna get ready for step 3, that's searing. Step 3 is just to sear your steak. You're gonna wanna get a really nice sear on your steak, so here's how you're gonna do that. You're gonna put your cast iron skillet either on an outdoor burner or grill. I've got a really good standalone burner right here, or on a grill. Grill is fine, just get it really hot. You're gonna wanna get your cast iron skillet ready and put just enough avocado oil or your other high heat oil in it to coat the bottom of the pan. And you're gonna wanna leave it on your outdoor burner or your grill as long as it takes for it to reach 600 to 700 degrees. You want it to be really hot. I shoot for around 630, 650 before I lay the steak in. I've got an infrared thermometer for this. You can use something else, but you definitely want at least an instant read thermometer to read it for you, but usually those don't go as high as you want, so I highly recommend a $15, $20 infrared thermometer that'll give you a pretty good reading on where your pan is. You want that oil to be smoking hot. Literally, it needs to be smoking. See the smoke? Smoking. Smoking hot pan ready for your steak. Now you can do this inside. I don't recommend it. It's gonna get pretty smoky. Like your whole house will be filled with so much smoke that every smoke alarm in your home will be going off. Not recommended for inside, so do it outside, preferably. We've got our burner hot enough. The other thing we're gonna wanna have is extra butter set aside. This is why I said you needed the butter. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off enough pats of butter for both sides of every steak I'm doing, plus an extra one for the end. I'll show you why we have that. Going out to the pan, it's smoking hot, it's ready for the steak. I'm gonna go ahead and lay it down with the last piece of steak touching away from me just in case we get any oil splashes. Trust me, I've had enough of those. They hurt. You don't want them. Once your steak is down in the pan, you want to work pretty quickly because you want to have it not there more than a minute on either side. So as soon as it's down, I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those pats of butter. I'm going to start spreading it onto the side that hasn't yet hit the pan. I'm going to have that side nice and buttered up the time I flip it. Again, we were shooting for less than a minute on each side. In less than a minute, you should have a pretty hard sear on it. You can grab it with a good pair of tongs and just peek. It should be pretty crispy already on one side. Go ahead and flip that over on the butter side, grab your next pat of butter, spread that on your steak on the other side. After you've had about a minute there, you're gonna wanna flip it onto the edges and get those about 30 seconds aside, and make sure you hit the tips of your steak too, 15, 20 seconds. You just wanna get a good crust all around. Once the steak is finished searing, take it out, put it on the cutting board, and let it rest.
Rest.
Make sure you let it rest for at least 5 whole minutes. Just let it be, because 2 things are gonna happen. The juices and the temperature are both going to distribute evenly throughout the steak. The outside of the steak has been losing juices. It's gonna spread from the inside so it's evenly distributed, and the temperature is gonna even out throughout the whole thing as well. Let it rest, but when you set it onto the cutting board, go ahead and take that last pat of butter you got and just spread it on top of that steak while it sits on the cutting board. This is going to drip over the edges of that steak and create the most beautiful, juicy goodness that you're going to love. I'm just so happy right now. It's done.
That's because this is how you make the best steak.
This is gonna be so good.
It's gonna be so good, and we have multiple people that can attest to this because we've had them over for dinner.
I've been working on this for a minute. It's good. After you've let it sit for at least 5 minutes, go ahead, take a knife, cut it on a bias, and get your first slice of that steak. Here's what you're gonna find. 1, it's really, really good. Like, it's gonna melt in your mouth and be delicious. 2, you're gonna find that you've got a perfect medium rare all the way through with a really nice crust all the way around. You can go to a nice restaurant and pay 60 to 100 bucks for a steak of similar size and quality, but you don't have to pay that. We enjoy going to nice restaurants. We like having a nice dinner out, and it's not a disappointment when we do. We've gone and had some really nice meals in the last couple of years. I feel like we do it less because we can do it better at home. And now, with 3 simple steps, season, sous vide, and sear, so can you.
This is just the best method that we have found that works for us. So if you have something else that you like, leave a comment down below because we would love to learn from you guys.
Yeah.
And you know what? When people talk in the comments, they learn from each other. So we like that community.
And if you try this, let us know that too. Let us know how you liked it.
You can follow us on social media at Our Family Bee Social and check out our blog, which is ourfamilybee.com. Until we meet again, don't forget,
Life is better together.